Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Box Office Receipts. I'm your host Tyler Callahan, and we got more numbers to talk about as Hollywood slowly starts to get back to whatever this new normal will be. So let's start off with a weekend top 5, the first one since March. In first place is Unhinged with 4 million. In second place is SpongeBob SquarePants SpongeBob on the Run with 550,000. In third place is Words on the Bathroom Wall with 462,000. In fourth place is the re-release of The Goonies with 260,000. And in fifth place is Cutthroat City with 240,000. For the Inception re-release, Warner Brothers has been spotty on releasing solid numbers. They released it for some countries but not others. So while I think it did enough to make the top 5, it is not officially there. Unhinged being in first is not a shock, and I will say I was surprised to see it at 4 million. It's not a lot, but there will be a few slow weeks as people feel more comfortable going to the theaters. As for the rest of the top 5, it's not surprising, but SpongeBob doing second place is really good, since it is only in Canada. This coming weekend, we have the New Mutants, with the final Fox X-Men movie finally being released. I'm curious if a more well-known brand gives the box office a bit more of a boost before Tenet on Labor Day weekend. Speaking of the New Mutants, film critics are having a bit of an issue with Disney and the movie, with the studio not hosting screenings for reviews. This means if a reviewer wants to actually review the movie, they will need to go to the public showing with everyone else. Some sites have protested against this by refusing to review the movie, citing health risks involved with sending out people to do it. My thoughts on this is that they are doing the right move, full stop. I do think it is safe to go to theaters, depending on the location of where the reporter is. For example, China, South Korea, and not, say, Florida and Texas, right? Those areas are not. If you're running a team, you're in charge of their health and safety, and right now this is the safest move. Disney clearly does not care about the movie, and is simply dumping it so they can move it along the distribution track, and they can say, oh look, we offered a movie for reopening of theaters, while they put Mulan on Disney+. While America is getting the New Mutants this week, a lot of other countries are getting Tenet. The latest Christopher Nolan film is finally getting released this weekend, and so far has been getting good reviews from the limited reviews so far. In the 40 countries it will open in, some of them include the UK, Italy, Germany, and South Korea. Deadline is reporting that Hollywood insiders expect 25 million minimum for the weekend, but could hit an upward of 40 million. If that is the case, then it will need really long legs to even get close to breaking even. Even if Tenet was able to squeeze out 400 million worldwide, I think Warner Brothers still takes a small loss on it, and we need digital and Blu-ray sales to make it positive. Also, Warner Brothers will be holding back numbers until Sunday instead of daily updates, so we will not have an idea on how it's doing until the very end of the weekend. In other Tenet news, either Warner Brothers or indoor theater owners are being dicks here with the release of Tenet, at least in America. This is because for drive-in theaters asking to show Tenet, they will not be able to unless the indoor theaters in the area are also open. The response drive-in theaters have been getting from the studio is that they want to preserve the twists and turns of the movie. This excuse is complete bullshit. Not sure why Warner Brothers or indoor theaters are being like this. For the most part, I have defended how Warner Brothers was handling the release of Tenet and looking to be one of the first movies to come out, but this is stupid. While indoor theaters were closed, drive-ins were the only ones showing movies, and while the box office revenue was not much, it produced a small outlet for people to still watch movies. You're not going to throw them a bone by allowing them to show this movie. By the way, for the twists and turns of the movie, I can go on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, to see all the spoilers from people who watched it in other countries and learned what happened. Blocking drive-in theaters where indoor theaters are closed does not stop that. Hopefully they relent on this before Labor Day weekend, because right now there is still no New York and California reopening dates yet. So for now, those markets are completely shut out of watching this movie legally. Still staying with Warner Brothers, they held their DC Fandome event, and it was actually really well done. It was nice and compact, and it still had quite a bit of news coming out of it. Wonder Woman 1984 had a new trailer, finally, and it's still set to come out in October. For next year, we got trailers for the Snyder Cut of Justice League, a trailer for The Batman, and behind-the-scenes footage of the Suicide Squad. I was a big fan of what I saw for The Batman in what looks to be a really well done, gritty, and realistic take. We also got more news on Black Adam, with The Rock introducing the Justice Society of America, which will also be in a movie. For 2022, they were small updates, which makes sense, with The Flash showing concept art, and Michael Keaton's Batman, and confirmed it would be the first film in the DCEU to set off the multiverse. Shazam 2 has a proper title now, called Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Also, Aquaman 2 will be more serious compared to the first one. Overall, by the end of this event, I was the most hopeful I have been for the DCU since Batman v Superman and that entire slate of films was announced. And it seems the studio now has a more clear direction to take these films, which is move forward with the current timeline with Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Suicide Squad, and Shazam, and set the multiverse with The Flash, which opens the door for separate franchises to live in and make sense like the Batman movie. Now, if the movies are good on top of that, then DC will have completed a comeback and can fight toe-to-toe with Marvel Studios, which means good things for everyone, because if they're both producing great movies, we all win. Now, let's talk about some Chinese numbers, because at this point, you can hardly tell they were closed for half a year. The 800 exploded over its opening weekend, and as of Tuesday, was at 166 million. It was also Couples Day for China, so it was a bit of a holiday, and with that, a romantic movie did premiere called Love You Always, which had an opening day of 39 million, just beating out the opening day for the 800 from a few days ago. These are crazy numbers. And remember, this is at 50% capacity for theaters. If there was no limit, the numbers would be off the charts. Now, while Chinese movies are back to raking in the cash, smaller Western movies opening now are having a harder time getting people to watch. Little Women premiered on Tuesday as well, and only earned 1.57 million, and is only expected to make 6 to 7 million lifetime in China. For new movies coming to China, the next big one is Tenet, September 4th, which, depending on when Mulan gets a release date, will be the biggest movie until the new Chinese releases on October 1st for National Day. Also, The Invisible Man did get approved for release, but no set day for it yet. And that'll be it for this week's episode of Box Office Receipts. Not much news besides that. I noticed VOD Premium. No news at all, really, but I think from here on out, VOD Premium will get a bit smaller, unless there's new movie announcements, because during the summer, made sense. That was the only way for movies to premiere. But with theaters now starting to reopen and, studios finalizing their 2021 plans and releasing movies for the rest of the year, there will be less news for that. But hey, at least we're getting some box office numbers. Question for the week is, do you think Warner Brothers is doing the right move with Tenet in drive-in theaters? I think it's a bit of a dick move, but who knows, maybe you think, well, no, it's for indoor theaters to preserve them, or maybe to save the twists and turns. I don't know. Can you answer that question? Link is to the Facebook page in the show notes. That's it. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.